everything you want is already a choice that you haven't made yet. Okay, so for example, you all chose to be here in Croatia. We all chose to spend 7 days together, and that is you choosing your reality in real time, right? But it also comes with investing thousands of dollars to do this, to fly 24 hours across the world, which that's a big commitment, to be open for growth and change. I know a lot of us probably didn't think that we'd have the experience that we did with Lachlan and breathwork, and we did, right? You have to be really open to do that in a room of people like that, and to spend time with people you don't know, and do a lot of things that are quite not normal. So for example, in my life right now, I'm going to relate this to a lot of the people here who want to hit $100,000 a month. You and your goal, $100,000 a month. For example, with Dave, it's probably a little different. You've exited 2 9-figure companies. Jack, it's way different, but it's still the same concept in truth. Okay, even if your goal is lower. For example, people think that they can't get to their goal because they have a skill gap or they're not capable. But the truth is that you're here because you're successful. You don't feel stuck, but you do a little bit. And the true reason that you're probably not at where you want to be has nothing to do with capability, has nothing to do with skill. It just has everything to do with making the choices, which is what I have learned very recently. Because I can choose to do these micro actions, I can choose to do everything that I want that will make this reality actually real. So for example, how can we do this? This is a day that would be ideal for me. I'm not going to say I follow it every single time, but this is what I want to do. So for example, we're sleeping for about 8 hours a day. That's not super typical for me, but it would be ideal. Wake up at 7:30, go for a walk, get coffee, team meeting. Now, what does all this do? It's not actually about how the day looks. It's just about choosing to stay out this current level without realizing. So for example, if this is what I was doing and how I was acting when I was doing $60,000 a month, there's no possible way that without changing any of this, I could get to, my next goal is 250K a month. I don't think that I could get there without changing my day or changing all of these actions that I do. Okay, so every morning we have to wake up and choose our current reality, and the way in which we shift our current reality is through these micro decisions. So for example, if I choose to waste time during lunch and I choose to watch YouTube or whatever for 30 minutes, an hour, that obviously needs to change, or else I'm going to be stuck in this loop permanently and nothing's going to change because we have limited energy to be able to work on these things every single day. And again, like if you guys have any questions about the concepts or diagrams I'm putting up, just blur them out because I want this to be interactive. But choose to work on the things that will get you to that real reality, and your reality will not switch if you don't change those actual micro decisions. And it comes into the 3 planes of choice. My dad always told me that what you think is what you say is what you do, and what you do is what you become. So I put these into 3 planes of choice. So number 1 is the spiritual choices, and this is kind of the top. It's your identities, your values, what makes you feel purposeful, fulfilled, your relationship with abundance and scarcity, which I'm going to talk really deeply into. Second is everything that you're doing in your mind. So your thoughts and beliefs about money, about like what you're actually doing, the decisions you make, how you problem solve, what you focus your attention on, all of this stuff. And none of this comes into fruition without the actual execution of it. And this is something that every single person struggles with. It doesn't matter how successful you are, but we all have values. And sometimes we know what we need to do right, and we never take the actions to do it. And if we just do, it shows us that we have the choice to actually choose our next reality and not stay where we don't want to be, but hit our goal, for example, $100,000 a month for many people. Now, I want to dive a little deeper into something that a lot of entrepreneurs kind of neglect, and that's the fact that happiness is a choice. And what I'm going to get into here, I know a lot of people are like, well, happiness isn't really my goal. I don't want to wake up and be happy every day. Yeah, maybe in the long run, but money's the goal at like this age for a lot of people in our position. Whereas something I've learned is that desire is a contract that you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want. From a book that Dave recommended me, and it's fantastic. And what I've learned about happiness being a choice in this quote is that the desire will create resistance to me actually achieving that goal, right? Because you're focusing on the lack. This is a scarcity mindset. If I'm desiring something so much, then what I'm focusing on is all the things that I don't have, right? The things that I wasn't given, the things that I don't have. But if I become outcome independent, it will dissolve the resistance from that reality becoming real because I'm acting from abundance. So it switches my entire mind. So for example, if you think that hitting $100,000 a month will make you happy, And your desire to hit that is connected to your happiness. You're not happy right now. You don't feel content. You don't wake up excited to chase the day because you're not at $100,000 a month. You will never get there. And even if you do, you'll realize that you will continue to be unhappy because your actual happiness is correlated to something that is not internal. It's external, right? This number has nothing to do with your feelings, but you think it will. It's like when you wanted to hit your first 10K month and then you hit it and it's pretty fucking boring, right? It doesn't feel that good. But if you've already chosen unhappiness because you're tying it to external outcomes, the way in which we switch this is we choose the way to be happy at all outcomes. And I know, again, happiness is something that we all neglect, but the world will reward abundance. It's like when you're in school or when you're a kid and you really, really wanted something to happen, right? And you focus all your attention on it, and then you finally forgot about it, and then it ended up happening. Even if it's a girl, like I really want this girl, and then you stop giving her attention, and then you walk away, and then the girl comes and gives you more attention. It's the same thing with life, because again, if you are independent of the outcome, then the world will stop resisting. So the key shift is to choose to be happy at $30,000 a month while building to the next goal or wherever you're at. Let's say for Max, this is probably $250K a month for you. You did $70K this week. So again, choosing to be happy, which I think you do really, really well, is going to help. And again, abundance is the primary thing that we want to focus on, because if you're happy and you're content, and again, this is the equation that I'm kind of using in my mind, the universe will not reward neediness, it will just reward abundance, because you're focusing on the things, how much you enjoy the things you have, how many of them you have, and not choosing to look at other people and want to be in a different position, but just working towards it. And that also leads into the fact that wealth is a choice. Because if we can choose to be happy, and we can choose what our goal is, and we can choose to make these micro decisions, then we can choose to be wealthy as well, which is something that I'm excited to work on. And don't let abundance in your mind think about how much money you have, the money in your account. It's about choosing abundant thinking over scarcity thinking. And so the difference in this graph is scarcity thinking in business. I was on this for like 2 years, and only now have I kind of started to realize this about 3 months ago. For example, scarcity thinking, there will never be enough. I don't have enough leads, I don't have enough views, etc., and it will keep you down for sure. But abundance thinking is there will always be more. For example, so many people come to me and they're like, I don't have enough views, I don't think I have enough leads organically. And I'm like, okay, like open up your professional dashboard. And then they do, and it says 150,000 reach this month. Everyone trying to fucking visualize how many people 150,000 people is. Like, that's like 4 stadiums stacked together. So if you don't think you can hit whatever your goal is with that amount of reach, and that's the average reach for the coaches or agency owners in our industry who post content, 150,000 views a month, then there's no possible way. Again, if we think because we don't have enough booked calls or we don't have enough cash collected that there's not enough leads and that's the reason, versus thinking, look, I get all these views, I need to just learn how to turn them into what I want. It's about choosing the abundance instead of thinking in a scarce way, and that will lead you into poverty because you will choose poverty every single time that you think in a scarce way. Now, this is the decision framework that I've kind of came up with for myself that I think a lot of people, regardless of where you're at, will be able to benefit from. So would the wealthy version of me make this decision? Sometimes I'll think through that and I'll think, yes, they would make this decision, and I won't do it. I won't end up putting it into action. But every single time I do, I have progressed. Every single time. And that's what I've learned. Second is, am I choosing from abundance or scarcity? Am I choosing this because I have fear of losing something, because I have fear of spending money? And I have all 5 of these primary fears for entrepreneurs coming up later that I'll go through. Or am I choosing this because I'm focusing on abundance? And every single time I've made this decision, in correlation with this decision, I've progressed. So I've noticed how much better that feels. And I know that that's something a lot of people want to do. And what would I do if I already had $10 million? For some reason, this is the primary goal in my head where I really want to be at in the next 5 years. And every time I think of the Max with $10 million, and I think of him looking back at me now, it helps me make those decisions so well. Okay, so this is my primary point is that replace your goal here. Dave, you have different goals. Max, you damn near did 100K this week. Jack, you're way past this. Whatever your goal is, it's your choice whether you hit it or not. And if you're not choosing those actions, it's probably because you don't care enough. So right now, for example, a lot of people in here, Mo, you're at about 40K a month, Rav, you're at 40K a month, Tyler, you're at 80. Again, a lot of us are choosing to stay there through our daily actions, and I know that's something that we've focused on a lot this week with Lachlan and with breathwork and like figuring out how our inner self actually works. Someone who's here is still doing all this stuff, right? They're editing their own reels, they're taking on shit clients. That's, again, a lot of us here. I remember when I was at 30K a month, I would take on anyone. Avoiding uncomfortable sales/team conversations, super common because not a lot of people like confrontation, especially if it's with someone you want to please, like in sales, or with someone you want to lead or care about, like your team. Doing like these boring VA tasks, creating content just randomly, saying yes to all this stuff, you get the point. And this is a huge one, right? Rav, you were talking to me earlier. You were like, there's no one with the intuition to have these calls that like I can audit these guys' businesses without me, and like I don't think it's scalable because I'm charging $2,000 an hour, and you just raise your price because you're only getting more results, you're only getting more testimonial, all that stuff. So then it becomes a $5,000 price. People are gonna be naturally better clients if they're paying that, and your time's gonna be way more valuable. Right. So habits that I started making when I first hit my first 100K month, and again, it's not like I do this every month. As entrepreneurs, it's volatile. I've hit this twice. And that's revenue. Everyone knows like, hey, they make XYZ money, now they make that every single month. That's how it looks in our industry. It's really not the fucking case at all. But when I did this, everything that I focused on was right here, right? Building repeatable processes and SOPs, hiring someone who's better than me. And this goes hand in hand right here with dropping my ego, understanding that there's so many fucking people who are way better at things than me, and allowing my strengths to really take into fruition. And that's something I need to do now. Because I have a lot of weaknesses in specific areas where I want to either bring someone on so I can learn those positions and learn those traits. Again, this one is huge, so I wanted to really harp on that. Focusing on things that actually drive revenue. I remember like 4 months ago, I didn't really know what to do every single day. And then I started blocking it out. Like every time I post content, I end up getting more attention. Every single time I post content, that attention gets nurtured. Every single time I film a YouTube video, even though it sucks, that attention will then go from, again, like the 1174 or whatever the statistic is. 711.4. That's more time spent with me. So I know that ads, content, outreach, all this stuff is directly derived from me. And that's what's going to make me money as long as I can like develop leaders in that. I'm not going to do outreach with the point that I'm at, but I will teach someone how I did outreach to get me there, because that's going to be one action for infinite potential return. Because I'm spending 1 hour or however many hours a week trying to train someone to do these actions infinitely for me. Investing in team members who multiply your output, something that Dave's taught me a lot, is to give people equity and basically only pay them on performance. Obviously with some bases, but that alone has increased the output and productivity of my team like so fucking much. If you have a position you're paying base for, think of a way to make sure that they are getting paid by somehow their performance. For example, if it's a CSM and you're like, oh, I don't know how to do this, like I'm paying them 4K a month, it's not really results based, it's not really revenue driving. If your clients make more money, you will in turn make more money because you'll get better video testimonials, higher numbers, all this stuff. So pay your CSM based on the success of your clients. All this stuff is so important, because then you have people who really have the same common goal as you. This is huge for that. Strict qualification, like again, recently, because we had a down month last month, took on clients that weren't my ICP, ended up backfiring in my face. Never let this happen, because it will only prevent you, it will only give you mental blocks. Don't do this stuff. Again, start planning and thinking. This is something I struggle with right now. I need to plan, I need to budget, I need to think a lot more strategically instead of just going out and doing things, because I know that's how a lot of us are. We like to just put in action, and that's good, but sometimes it's the bane of our own existence. And lastly is making decisions that actually focus on the version of me that's at $10 million. Or for example, whatever your goal is, whatever the person that you want to be, focusing on how they would make decisions and how you can get there, and connecting those two, reverse engineering them. In the universe, this is what I've learned. I remember when I left high school, not left high school, but when I would get home from high school, I would try to run every single day, because I watched this one clip of this guy saying that if you tell yourself you're going to do something and you continue doing it, the universe will reward you, you'll trust yourself more. Whatever you say is going to happen actually will come into fruition. It's kind of like a reality transurfing concept. But the universe tracks every choice that you don't follow through with. So for example, is if I keep telling myself hey, I'm going to wake up, or no, I'm going to get home from school and I'm going to run every day and I'm going to do 500 push-ups. And I do it 3 times, great. My mind now trusts me more. If I say I'm going to hit $100,000 a month, for some reason, I will just do the actions to do that. I would just, the universe will basically bring it to me. This is something that Ibrahim taught me a lot about. He's like a hypnotist, works with all the millionaires and billionaires. And essentially, if you can just make yourself understand that your reality is a choice, like I'm going through it the whole time, it will actually come true, which is insane. So for example, there's a difference between someone who says my goal is to hit $100,000 a month, or I will reach $100,000 a month. This guy will make it come into fruition so much quicker than this guy will, just because he knows it's in his reality. His paradigm has that reality for himself. Okay, so if you don't believe that hitting your goal is a choice because you don't trust yourself enough, and building trust with yourself is what I'm going to go through right now. Every single time you tell yourself you're going to do something, you don't do it, you lose trust. Even this week, I was 21 days into 75 hard, got here, did it for 2 days, and the sleep deprivation, like all this stuff. I'm losing trust in myself, but I'm going to go home and I'm going to do 100 days hard because it's fucking, like I need to do it. I need to gain that trust with myself. And this is kind of how I started doing it. Waking up at the same time really helps. Sometimes I struggle to do that, but it's fucking important because every single time I do that for over a week, for over 2 weeks, it's beneficial. Going to the gym every day at the same time. Because again, these are micro intentional things. In Reality Transurfing, this book, it talks about if I'm getting in an Uber and I'm like, I really want to get to XYZ location safe, and then I get there safe, my mind's like, damn, that you thought of that, and then it turned into reality. And then you continue doing it. So again, you can make all of these micro choices just to make your brain believe everything that you say much more. Make sure you write them down. I journal them in the morning and in the night, at least I try to. And every single time I have a book, it's called a mind journal. And it'll ask me questions like this, like set intentions, achievements for the day. I'll set them. And then at nighttime, I'll go through, did I hit them, did I not? Again, the mental clarity that I have in this decision making, so much more than I've ever had. Never make a commitment you won't keep. This is something that will really hurt you. It's hurt me. But if you underpromise to yourself, and I'm not saying set low goals, I'm saying tell yourself that these minuscule actions you will actually do, and then you end up doing them, your mind is just going to believe you so much more, and your word will become your law within your subconscious. So every single time you make a commitment, write it down, don't take exceptions, and if you break it, just like own it. Like I just did, I just said this in front of 10 people, I didn't finish 75 hard, no excuses, I will. So why you are not choosing success? There's a lot of fears here. So fear of judgment, which is just like, I don't want to take these big decisions because I want to stay small, like I feel good where I'm at. Fear of responsibility, everyone knows that, if there's a common belief that more money equals more problems. It is true, but the fear is false. Fear of losing yourself, money will change, you're already changing. Fear of failure, we're already failing, all of us, every single day. But we cannot fear it because if none of us failed here, we wouldn't be where we're at. It's just about reflecting on that failure. And comfort addiction. This is something, I would say that this is the biggest one that I'm going through right now, is I like to be comfortable, especially with where I'm at, because I've kind of first time in my life gained the resources to be comfortable. I have to learn how to get back out of my comfort zone. So we can turn these from fear into power and really change our minds. So these are some things that I've gone through. So instead of the fear of judgment, it's the visibility is value. So for example, if I'm being seen, it means that I'm serving other people instead of being judged like right now. I could be worrying about being judged by everyone here, but I'm just sitting here and I'm going through everything that I've learned recently. So judgment is proof that you're doing something worth noticing. The stewardship mindset. So for example, more money would be more capacity to impact people's lives, to help people, to do all this stuff. And again, these problems exist to help you grow. They don't exist to stop you. Like literally every single one of these. But this specifically, for being responsible for these problems, understand that every time we solve a problem, we get through it. For example, like Mo with dental school. Big problem. You got through it. How do you feel way different, don't you?
Yeah.
How do you feel?
A lot better.
Okay.
A lot more clarity.
You're right? Okay. So again, I remember when you FaceTimed me and you were like, fuck, bro. And now you have the clarity and you hit your fucking record month the month after, I'm pretty sure. So intentional evolution. Who I become with wealth/money, it'll amplify my character, won't create it. So for example, this fear of losing yourself, I've heard this so many times on podcasts, whereas a lot of people who are already there and have a good grasp on what it's like to have a lot of money realize that it just amplifies who they are, and it doesn't actually let them lose themselves if they don't let it. Fear of failure, I mean, I don't even feel like we have to go through this because everyone here has failed so many times and looked back at it. I love it. But not choosing is choosing to fail. So, for example, if we're choosing to not do something because we don't want to make the mistake or we don't want to fail, then you're fucked because you can't make the mistake to then learn. And every decision that we make will move us closer to our vision if you take this mindset right here. Lastly, is the courage over comfort. Again, this is what I'm working on the most, is the cost of staying comfortable is greater than the risk of growth, which is something that I'm choosing expansion over right now. I want to get out of my comfort zone. I want to invest more. I don't want to sit. I don't want to stay at my house and work. I want to go out. I want to make changes. And the biggest thing that I've learned is that I need to stop saying that I want to be, and I need to start saying who I am, or at least who I am very soon. And so by saying, I wrote it on my mirror, I wrote it on my mirror with everyone's seen the glass board videos. I have those markers, I wrote it on my mirror every morning, I'd say it 30 times. I'm a $100,000 a month business owner, then I naturally start acting like it. Again, I don't have to go to the mountain because it's very self-sufficient, and it's not delusion. I would argue that self-deluding is beneficial, and it's choosing the identity before reality catches up instead of looking at your reality and letting that be your identity. Because if we do that, then we're stuck forever. So our current lives are perfectly designed for our current results, which is why I was going through that day. For example, if we're at $30,000 a month, all of this, your habit, your relationship with money, your relationship with people, your routine, it will all keep you here every single time. But if we crack that, to choose to hit our next goal, Mo, I know yours is $100,000 a month, Max, yours is $250K, I know Tyler, yours is $100K a month. We have to change the current routine, and I think that's what a lot of us have realized on this trip, is that we have to change our actions when we get home. And so what standards have we accepted that we don't want to accept? I know one for me would be watching something at night instead of reading. Watching YouTube, calming down, doing that stuff when I could be reading. That's something that I've accepted and I need to change. I need to change those standards. What am I tolerating? What conversations am I avoiding? This is a huge one for so many of us because sometimes it's hard when you're having a bad month and you want to look at your bank account. It's fuck, I don't even want to look. I'm sure I got a lot in there, whatever. All this stuff is so important because when we can look at reality for what it is, and then we can look at where we want to be, and we will become it. And lastly is all of this is what's stopping us from getting to our goals. And it's just about choosing the right thing, especially when we don't feel like it, which is something that is incredibly important. Every single morning, something I've started to do is, like I said, I wrote all those things on the mirror. I'm a $100,000 a month operator. I'm a good friend. I'm a loyal partner in business. I'm a good son. I call my mom all the stuff that I want to be. I call my mom every day. I call my dad every day. All this stuff I wrote on every single time. I read it 10 times in a row, out of my mirror every single morning. The decision is what could I do to make 100K kind of choose me? What would 100K me choose? Like I said with the 10 million thing, reverse engineer it to be you. And then in the evening, what did I do? What did I actually follow through with as far as the intentions that I set? Did I do everything that this identity wanted me to have done, again, in a journal? And you will start looking at yourself in such a different light. So as far as implementing everything, this is what I do at least. Every single area where we're choosing our current reality, but just understand it, list all those things, identify all the choices that are keeping us stuck where we're at, or the ones that we've started to adopt that are helping us, because knowing that is great too. Write what the XYZ version of you would do instead. Dave, write what the 1 million follower version of you would do instead. For example, write what the $100,000 a month version of you, Tyler, would do. All this stuff, and you'll start thinking about it. And then the 48-hour rule, any single decision that comes up, you have 48 hours to execute. This is something that I've adopted, and it's really helped me because I know a lot of us are very creative people. We'll have an idea for a business or offer or an ad campaign or a piece of content, and then we'll forget it. But it was a really good one. 48 hours, write it down. Don't think about it for weeks. Just do it. And again, imperfect action will be perfect action every single time because we're learning from it. And lastly, it's just make one uncomfortable choice before 9 a.m. For me, it's walks. I don't want to get up at 8 and walk, but I do. I have been. One delegation choice before lunch, something that you would do, like edit a reel, whatever. Find a way to delegate it, or find a way to assign something to your team that you know is important. For me, that's helped a lot. And one strategic choice before 5 p.m. And if you track this for 30 days, your entire outlook on how you are happy-wise and wealth-wise will change. So this is everything that I've learned in the past 3 months, and thanks for listening.
Okay.
Any questions?
This is like contextual, I suppose, but one of the things that has been keeping me from doing a lot of the kind of standardized, like, all right, do this every day, either morning, in the evening, whatever that is the day kind of expanding in its requirement of me, and then I feel like, okay, this just needs my time, like right now, and it will overwrite whatever I might have had that time dedicated for.
Okay.
And then it's like, cool, that just throws everything off. So how do you mitigate against that?
Good question. This is something that I've been working on with him too, because I try to act with speed, but like too instant of speed.
Mm-hmm.
What I've learned is that I need to become neutral and decompartmentalize myself, like from doing that immediately. Mm-hmm. Because if you do that, then you'll realize like whatever you had planned the previous day, I would assume that you plan your days like the night before, do you?
Yeah.
Okay. If that thing is really that like crazy, it should have probably been on what you planned the night before. And if it was unexpected, don't let it alter what you've already done. Just do it after, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a fact. I'm not gonna lie.
That makes a lot of sense.
Because the same thing, I
Yeah.
have the same problem. Like, I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna hit the gym at this time. I'm gonna do this at this time. And then I get a phone call, or I need to jump on a meeting, or something happens. And you just made me realize, like, hey, it should have been planned. If not, let's do it tomorrow.
Or even later in the night. Like, just have flexibility. Don't be too regimented. I think that I read in The Art of the Deal by Donald Trump that the most money he ever made was in the meetings that he didn't have planned. So like plan your day out, I would say what would you say, Dave? I would say about half.
So I have a couple of thoughts. One, great presentation.
Thank you.
Very well thought through. I would make one minor tweak. I think some of you might have heard me say this, which is slight change on yours, which is all decisions you make will either be based in hope or it'll be based in fear. Fear-based decisions will be wrong almost every single time. And so, don't let yourself make fear-based decisions. What I would say about on the schedule side, I used to say, I'm not a morning person. I think that's ridiculous. I personally think that the best way to make sure that your day is most productive, you've got to I get up at 5, right? And I always do my workout before I start my day. You go for a walk, and if you count the walk as a workout, that's fine. Then that gets that done, that checks the box.
So much more clarity.
But if you have your workout done before you start your day, because then you can never be interrupted by the phone call, because you're not getting a phone call at 5 in the morning, right? Unless someone died, right? So it's like, and again, and then the last thing I would say is, if you're not failing, if you're not falling short, you're not pushing hard enough. And so what that means is there's 2 things you have to do, and I learned this the hard way when I was your age. I didn't do this, and I think it held me back a little bit. Beat yourself up for like 2 minutes, and then give yourself grace. Like, it's okay to make mistakes. It's not okay to say, well, it doesn't matter. It does matter.
True.
When you make mistakes, own it, look at it, and move the fuck on. Give yourself some grace, and say, I'm gonna do better tomorrow. And so those are my thoughts.
One thing too with like the gym, getting a trainer. I don't need one, but I go 5 days a week now, and I go at 4 o'clock or 9 a.m. Because I have to. And what's funny that I found is that all those things that I felt I needed to do or would have made me 45 minutes late just get done after.
Yeah.
And there's been times, like maybe once, where I was like, yo, I don't care, like I need 30 minutes. But I think it's really seldom that there's something that's actually that pressing that can't wait an hour. And I think, it goes back to our boundaries. Because at a certain point, work just becomes a part of your life. It is not your life.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of people in this room, it is their life. And that's perfectly okay. But I think when you start to look into other aspects of your life that you want to uphold, you need to start setting boundaries between those things.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I don't stay up until 6 a.m. working anymore sometimes, because I do. But
When you're talking about like setting boundaries, I mean like you're looking at the energy curve of your day every single day, right? In the very beginning, you know what I'm talking about, Max?
Mhm.
Yeah. So how do you feel about protecting your mornings? Because like, I mean, for me, I feel like that's when I'm most productive, when I can build.
But that's the thing is it's subjective, and that every human's different. For example, for me, I'm most productive like right before lunch. So like
Yeah.
10, 11, 12. If you're most productive in the morning, then that's when you should do it.
Got it.
Again, like this is my personal ideal morning. It's like wake up, there's walk in here, coffee, I have my team meeting at 9:30, networking, meaning like talking to my clients, responding to their texts. I'll usually eat lunch around like 12 to 1. And
Right.
again, this right here, because I mean responding to clients' text, if you have like consistent calls with them, it doesn't take that long. I also count this as deep work and filming, just like I do here. That's for me personally.
Got
But
it.
if your better time is like 2 or it's 12 or it's 8 in the morning, bro, like that's good for you then. I would still encourage you to walk though before.
Yeah, no, I'm
Bro,
saying
when I
that,
started
I'm saying,
taking morning
I'm saying
walks,
protecting
so
your
much
morning
more
as in like, because we're talking about like, oh, I get a client text at 9 p.m. Let's say I block off my mornings
Yeah.
till 10 o'clock. I get a client text at 9 a.m. Sorry, and like 9 a.m. Probably gonna respond to that text. You just
Yeah.
don't respond to it till 10.
I mean, why do you have to respond to it so fast? And this is something that I deal with like,
That's what I'm
all the
saying.
time. It's like,
That's
is it truly this pressing? And I would argue that it becomes that pressing because we're all, no matter how stoic or alpha or, wealthy we become, like we're still all emotional people. And when you get something and it's probably negative, if it's,
Both
in the
ways.
morning or both ways, if it's good, take some time, like think about why it's good. If it's bad, still take some time, think about why it's bad.
Yeah.
I used to, and I still am, like, if I would read a text and not respond quickly, it would freak me out a little bit because I'm used to responding quick. And then on the yacht day, like, I got a text. Normally, I would have responded very quickly, processed it with Lachlan, took like an hour to calm down, figure out what the actual logical move was on the chessboard, and I made that. So, like, I would definitely protect it. But even if it's a negative text, for this instance, still, like, don't respond immediately. I would always wait. Plus, if it's negative from a client, they're probably emotional at the time. So if you let them go for an hour or 2 hours, they're going to be less emotional when you respond versus you guys getting a text for. But still, I would protect your mornings even if it's a good text.
Good deal.
I was going to ask, how important do you think environment is with, especially this in particular as well? Because when I'm back home, I'm like, this is hard. Like, this is fucking hard. But, like, for example, coming to something like this,
Yeah.
obviously that's even harder when there's people around. But,
Yeah.
like, I'm thinking in January to just book 2 weeks somewhere just on my own and just do this, essentially. Like,
So what's the question is?
so as in, like, how important is that? How important do you think protecting your environment and...
I think environment's everything, but I think environments have different purposes. For example, we're all here. I mean, if you said you came here to do 12-hour deep work days, like that's fucking
Yeah.
impossible here.
Yeah.
But we're all here to grow, to learn other people's perspectives, to understand. Everyone here is an expert in spaces where like people aren't experts. This is a time in which we're not probably gonna follow a regimen,
Yeah.
and we're gonna allow ourselves to grow, allow our minds to actually, become, blossomed or however you want to say, enlightened. But when you're back home, I would 1,000% protect yourself in that environment. And environment, dude, I know you like in Wales. Are you talking about?
Yeah.
I know it's probably like difficult to find people like you who are so entrepreneurial there all the time. Other than Sam, like I don't know if you can relate to that, bro. You and Sam have the fucking similar goals. Like have a call with him every morning. Set the
Yeah.
standard. I moved to Miami. I started having morning calls with my friend Dylan every single morning. Because he lives in the same building. Coffee with him at 9 a.m. We kind of set the goals for the day for the first 2 weeks. It helped so much. And like it didn't even matter if it was a call or if it was a coffee. It helped in my environment. But if you're around people doing stupid shit, you're gonna do stupid shit.
Yeah.
And if you're around people doing this, like you're gonna go home and you're gonna be like, fuck, I wanna level up. Just like I do right now. Just like
Yeah.
every single person here wants to probably go home and do deep work to level up.
Yeah,
Like
exactly. Yeah.
so.
Mm-hmm.
Take it from me, man. I live in a city where I don't know any entrepreneurs at all,
Yeah.
really, like that do any of this online stuff, right? And so like my environment was like Max, like guys like you, and so I just had a bunch of calls online. So like You can still do that in Wales.
Yeah.
You don't need to move necessarily. Just
Mm.
talk to more people that are similar.
Yeah.
And even if we could choose to do this every single week, I wouldn't because
No.
it's not productivity.
Yeah.
Like it's productive in different senses.
Mhm.
I think a time like this, like if you had like a slingshot, like I feel like trips like this or experiences like this are like pulling
Yep.
it back, but it isn't actually like taking the shot. But
Yeah,
it determines how far the shot's gonna go.
that's a fire analogy. That's really good. We are definitely pulling back, but when you get home, it's like
Facts. I completely agree, bro. I got so much clarity this trip,
Yeah.
especially like that day when you taught me how to really make content. You know, like I like looking back at it now, like I was gonna waste so much time. You know, just making content that was not who I really was. And now I know the second I get back home, like I'm already thinking about, okay, where am I gonna do it? How am I gonna do it? And I'm not even focused on the scripts too much. I'm just focused on like the topics, and I'm just gonna be so much
Cheat
more
shit,
prepared,
bro.
Like,
cheat
it's gonna
shit.
be great. Like,
Cheat shit. Bro, you're so entertaining. Like just talk to the camera, you're good. Everyone fucking watch.
Yeah, fuck your script.
Yeah, well done,
Thank
for
you.
sure.